Hello, and welcome to this episode of the podcast Widowhood Made Me Happier with me, your host, Tabby Kerwin. You are very welcome here. This is a place where we protect mental health, grow with grief, and perform at our best and chat about all the things that make us grow stronger as we are living with grief. So, how are you today? As I say, you're very welcome here and welcome to the conversation where today we will be talking about guilt, grief, and growth, and how guilt and grief are like these hidden companions, secret friends, if you like, because there's a lot of guilt that comes with grief, and it's kind of hard to navigate, and we don't really talk about it a lot. It's another of those little taboos with grief, isn't it? So let's talk about it. So how do we feel guilt when we are living with our grief or we're trying to grow with our grief? Well, we can feel guilty about laughing again. We can feel guilty about feeling lighter. We can feel guilty about wanting more for life. And all these things, they're like a really heavy burden on top of the grief that we're already feeling, which is really heavy and hard to carry, as we know. There's kind of this unspoken belief that if I'm happier, that means I loved my person less. And of course, let's clarify, grief isn't always about the death of a person. It could be a pet. It could be the loss of a lifestyle, lost expectations. It could be the loss of a job, a relationship, a friendship, so much it could be the loss of. But I'm going to be talking context of losing somebody as I'm discussing this, but it all applies to every different kind of way of grieving. But yeah, there is this unspoken belief that if I'm happier, then that means I loved them less. And that really, it's just not true, okay? Because guilt and grief can coexist. We can feel that guilt, but we can set it free, okay? But how do we do that? Well, we can start by naming the guilt, because if we name it, it reduces its power on us. It's like any difficult situation or emotion. If we name that, then yeah, it reduces its hold on us, reduces its power on us. So if I said out loud, I feel guilty for laughing after my husband Simon died. Just hear that again. I feel guilty for laughing after my husband Simon died. Now, if someone said that to you, or if I said that to you as I just said that now, your likely response would be, there's no need to feel guilty. You're allowed to laugh again. You would say that compassionately and empathetically to somebody if they said it to you, or if you were in this conversation in real time with me now. You would tell me that with an intention of helping me to ease that burden. But we don't have that same conversation with ourselves. Instead, if we said, I feel, I shouldn't laugh, I shouldn't be happy, I'm grieving, we would, self-sabotage ourselves and make ourselves carry that burden. We don't give ourselves the same kindness that we would give to other people. So we need to really start with that self-kindness, and allow ourselves to laugh, allow ourselves to feel joy, because as I've said so many times, there is this duality of emotions. Now, we can't multitask. We can't do two things at the same time. Psychologically, we just can't. But we can allow emotions to coexist. And there is this duality of emotions where you can be grieving, you can feel sadness, but you can always choose to laugh and choose happiness at the same time. Or you can feel empowered at the same time as feeling incredibly sad for the person or whatever it is that you've lost. So there is this duality of emotions, and naming that guilt can really help reduce the power. Now, growing with our grief, that doesn't cancel out our grief, okay? They coexist, being able to grieve, but also grow in ourselves as our, with our purpose. We can grow, and we must grow, because growing with our grief is so important. Because as we know, you don't get over grief. You don't even get through grief. You have to come on board with this mindset that grief is always going to be with me. I am always going to have the experience of that loss, but that doesn't mean I can't grow with it. So that's how I can make a really bold claim of widowhood made me happier. Now, you know that if you've been here for a while, or if you know my work, that was the title of my TEDx talk for the TEDx that I did in 2025 at TEDx Teesside. And it was the title that got me that gig, let's be honest, because the title made the judging panel go, oof, can you say that? Can you say widowhood made me happier? And it's like, yeah, actually, do you know what? You can. And it is a really bold claim. And obviously, I've had to set aside a lot of guilt that goes with that, because it's like, oof, by saying that, is that saying that I wasn't happy with Simon? That actually everything I said about how sad I was and how happy we were together before we died, that is just cancelled out and it makes it look like lies? Is that what saying widowhood made me happier is? And the answer to that is no, it isn't saying that at all. What it is saying is, my husband died. I was put into this enforced situation to live without him, which I did not choose, but it happened to me. But what I can choose is how I move forwards now. And how I've chosen to do that is go, okay, that grief is with me, but I don't want to stay in that sad place all the time. So what can I do to take the baton of everything that Simon valued and lived for and did that was so good, and now carry that baton from him, but move forwards for myself and feel aligned to what really matters for me now, and to be purpose-led. And the reason I am able to be so purpose-led, the reason I am able to choose happiness, is because I'm taking every value that he had with me, and it's aligned. So I can say widowhood made me happier, because I don't know what the version of me and him would have been 7 years down the line if he was still alive. Now, I very much hope it would have been still very happy, still growing, still putting, helping other people. It was probably not going to be very dissimilar to what I'm doing now, just there would have been two of us. And I'd like to think that, but I don't know, because that wasn't the path that my life took. My husband died in November 2018 after 4 months of illness. And that was like, the world could have ended. And at that point, I had a choice to let grief absolutely crumble me, to break me. Or I could choose to move forwards with it and to become the happier version of myself from that terrible point where I lost my husband. And that is the greatest tribute I can make to him and the person that he is, choosing to be happier. So yeah, widowhood has made me happier, and it might sound controversial, it might sound bold, and without context, it sounds like I'm really happy my husband is dead. And that is not the case at all. Honestly, there is no greater pain that I have experienced. And I've experienced other losses and other traumas and other challenges, but there is no greater pain for me in my life than the loss of my husband. But I have made a conscious and intentional choice to move forwards and grow with my grief. And now I get to share that with other people and inspire them to do the same, to show them the hope, but also show them a strategy for choosing themselves, for choosing happiness. And that's a massive privilege. And that's what gets me up every day. The privilege and joy I get in sharing my story and sharing my life with Simon and sharing my pain, but using that in a way that helps me to grow, but also holds the hand of other people going through a similar situation and saying, do you know what? You can be okay. You can choose happiness and you can feel sad at the same time. So that is really important. Growth doesn't cancel grief. You can miss someone so deeply with every fibre of your being, but also feel really aligned and more alive than you ever had, because you're fueled by this purpose. And that's definitely the case for me. I'm fueled by this purpose to help others. I'm fueled by this purpose to keep Simon's legacy alive, because he passed me that baton. I am gaining every single day more clarity into what I want to do and who I specifically want to help and what really matters to me now. And that allows me to continue growing with my grief, because if I don't consciously put the effort in every day and not just be aware of it, but actually take the action, then I could crumble back down into that hole of, I can't go on, this is just too hard. The sadness is too heavy. And I know that's an absolute possibility. I've lived with years of low moods and depression and social anxiety. I know how easy it is to spiral. And that's why every single day it is a conscious and intentional choice to do the work for me that extends self-kindness to me, the work that gives me clarity on what I want to do and for who, and the work that aligns me with my very much purpose-led values. Widowhood strips you back. It strips life back to the absolute truth. It's painful, but it's really honest. So that's really important, to allow that duality of that pain, but also the choice of happiness. Because happiness after loss, it's not a betrayal. It's integration, if you like. A happier you can be a continuation of the love that you had with someone else, not a replacement for it. Your growth can be the way that you carry forward what you had with that person, that love with that person, in a different way, because they're not here in the physical realm to do that. The joy that you feel now, the joy that I say, the happiness that I feel in widowhood, that is there to honour what I had with Simon, not to erase it. And I think those points are really, really important to remember. So this week, I want you to ask yourself, what are you feeling guilty about enjoying? And ask yourself, whose rules are you actually living by? Are you feeling guilty because you genuinely feel guilty, or you are feeling guilty because actually the social expectation, the social commentary, the noise of other people and the judgment and opinions is so loud that you are conforming to what will they think if I laugh, if I find joy, if I find success, if I find happiness, if I find love, either with myself in a solo relationship or because it's love with someone else. What will they feel about? We have to start turning that noise down, the opinions of other people, because as I've said before, the opinions of other people are not your concern. What they think is not your business. Okay, you've got to come deep inside and do the work inside with you. Ask yourself, what am I feeling guilty about enjoying? And then say that out loud. And then imagine if someone really close to you had said, I feel guilty about smiling or laughing or being happy or falling in love again since my partner died, or, my sibling died, or my child died, or my parent died, whatever it is. Some people, if they've lost a child, they might feel a guilt about having another child. It doesn't replace the child that you've lost. So ask yourself what you're feeling guilty about. Say it out loud. Name that guilt and help to reduce the power it has on you. And treat yourself as your own best friend. Extend that self-kindness to you, the same kindness you would extend to someone else if they said that out loud. And it's not something to feel guilty about. Okay, so think about that. What you're feeling guilty about enjoying, name it. Ask whose rules you're actually living by. Is this, about you, or is this about more worrying about the opinions of other people? Then I want you to choose one small thing and allow yourself to enjoy it without any justification, without any fear of judgments from other people. Just choose one small thing that you can do to allow yourself to enjoy it. Just let loose with it. Enjoy it. It might be smiling. It might be laughing. It might be dating again after you've lost a partner. So think about that. Share it with me in the comments. Share it with me. Feel free to message me on social media, however it is. If you are living with grief, if you are finding it hard, I understand, okay? And as always, in the comments, in the show comments, I will put some resources, some signposting for you, for some free resources to help you start embracing your grief. And of course, then you can go on to live and grow with it. But there is support there for you. But please just know that you can be incredibly sad, but choose happiness at the same time. It's so important that those emotions exist. Until next time, I will wish you all the happiness that you can find, all the guilt-free enjoyment that you can find, and I will see you in the next episode.